Howdy, folks. Time for the Sunday update, and I have to thank Tracy because I started doing this on my personal page by mistake. So, I'm going to go over some of what went on this week, and then I'm going to talk about some campaign things because this last week was the first week people could file to run for positions. So, up front, I spent some time up at the Elliott State Research Forest. That's the new name for the Shutters Creek facility. And I was going to get an update on some of the progress around the planning. It sounds like there's been some delays on the part of the people conducting the planning, so I didn't have a lot of an update received on that. But one of the benefits of having roots here for a period of time is in the course of them converting this station into a research site, they've been going back through what it was as a prison. They've got the history pretty well, but when it was an Air Force base, they're less familiar, less certain on what certain buildings were. My grandpa was stationed at that base, and my grandma's still around, so they asked her to come up as a invite, and we were able to go up the hill, and she was able to tell them what certain buildings were, what was up there, what the operations were like, and from the civilian sector that was allowable, where certain buildings sat, what they were like, in other details. So that was pretty cool. I didn't get as much of an update as I wanted, but we were able to, at least contribute to some knowledge of the history of the site because there's not a lot of folks left that remember those things. This week also connected with the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, and Oregon Department of Agriculture, ODA, talking about something I've mentioned before. When I talked with Powers and when I talked with Myrtle Point, they've got some deficits in cattle processing in the area. It sounds like quite a bit of cattle are being shipped to Eugene for processing, which in this case is a market deficit, which is a market opportunity for us. We can bring in a business that can do these things, hopefully. There's questions around economy of scale, but everything is a workable problem. Just because it hasn't attracted anyone yet doesn't mean it's not a good opportunity. It just means folks may not have looked enough. So getting help with that from the South Coast Development Council, the SCDC, and making progress on those things, just trying to figure out where we can get some of that. And I actually just saw one of our state senators log in that I got a bug later because I was pointed to them for issues of cattle processing and that sort of thing. And let's see. Some folks have reached out about the Whiskey Run Trails. We have a timber operation that's going to happen out there. It's one of our regularly planned timber cuts that the county engages in. Rotation on the trees around 60 years. So the section that's logged won't be logged again for 60 years. Some of the pushback we've gotten, I think, is from folks who are not as familiar with, when the trails were created. So when those trails were created, it was 10 or more years ago, and it was allowed in the county land only under the understanding that that is a working forest. It will be harvested in different sections at different times. And I had a meeting this week with the head of the nonprofit, or the chair for the nonprofit that kind of manages the Whiskey Run Trails. That was Zach Martin. And I didn't bring that up. He brought that up as something they understand, of course. And we're all talking about how we can communicate around that better, and also communicate that cuts are going to happen in the future so that people not familiar with that aspect of the plan can be aware that it's going to happen. And then we've got, turns out, and I didn't know this because I'm not a mountain biker, there are 68 trails in the area. This cut should only affect 6 different sections of the Whiskey Run. Once somebody that knew more about this, as from my standpoint, I felt bad we didn't provide enough notice out there, and I still think that should happen, and I know Commissioner Sweet is working heavily on that to make sure we do it in the future. But knowing these things more, I was reassured it's not as big of an impact as some folks are concerned, and it should actually allow them to grow some of the trails out further, which is something they were able to do during the last cut, because when that cut happens, it makes it easier for them to break new trail. So one of their trails this last time gained about 1.5 miles because the cut took place. So hopefully this works out for everybody. I think it will, because it sounds like it already has been for the years that it's been happening. So yeah, should work out. And then I had a meeting with one of our deputies who had ideas around economic development. I'm always happy to meet with people that have ideas and plans on how we can get more economic growth in our county. And when it's county staff, they often know a lot about the area. They've got history here, and I appreciate their input, as well as any member of the community. I've had a number reach out. That takes care of the part I was going to do for an update, because I do want to talk about campaign items. We've got, this last week was the first week people could file. So a couple folks have filed. So I'm in position 1 on the commissioners. There are 3 seats. So position 2 is John. John has filed, and Brandy Martindale has filed to run against him. So congratulations to both. And position 3, Rick Osborne filed opening day as well. And then the day after, Rick Coleman filed, and I don't know Rick. I know the other 3, but I don't know Rick. At least I don't think I do, and I apologize if I do and I'm not remembering. But yep, congratulations to all them too. Let's see. And then things I'm going to look at, because people ask me that. One, I'll just let folks know it's way too early. I think you can file up until March, because I filed opening day in September for my run, and nobody filed to run against me until after Thanksgiving. And then I think Bob filed in January. So there's a lot of time to find out who's going to come out of the woods. This is just who's on it right now. And while I know some of these folks pretty well, or at least in passing, I'm going to see what they actually do and talk about during the campaign. So some things I'll be looking for: are they committed to the community? Do they have familiarity here? Have they been here a while? Are they new within a short number of years? And what have they done in the community? Because if they're committed to the community, they should be doing something that's going to demonstrate that. So have they been serving on nonprofit boards? Do they run a private business? What has that business done for the community? Have they ever served in another elected position? That's not necessary, but it definitely helps. And what they speak to as their objectives. Do they have a missing skill set is something I'll be looking for. Is it somebody that's going to bring something to the table that's not there presently, or that would come with the skill set? Well, I should say, would the net loss benefit, or is it an overlapping skill that's already present? I'll be looking at if they attend the forums or not. That's kind of a red flag for me if they don't. I understand in the past some people have avoided certain forums because they felt it would be unfair to them. I don't regard that as a valid reason myself. I've gone on shows where I knew I was not the preferred party. And even after I won, I went on the show of one of my primary opponents. I went on Chris's show after I won. And he had fought pretty good during the primary, and he continued to, I think, fight for more so for me to not win than for Bob, but still during the rest of the election. But you can't be scared to face people that are opposed to you or that just don't know you yet, because they're never going to if you don't. So if it's a candidate that won't attend forums, I will be suspicious. Let's see. I'm going to want to know what their local plans are. Something I've seen in past elections is I'll read through the voter's pamphlet or I'll see the person talk, and what they're talking about, I know from my experience, is not the position they're going for. I've seen people who I read their pamphlet and they pretty clearly think they're running for council, but they're running for commissioner, or they're running for commissioner and they think they're running for the Senate. Just the content of the message they're delivering kind of tells that. And I'll want to see what they're articulating for a local plan, and if they have a local plan, or if the talking points are just things at the national level that don't have a strong impact on the quality of life in Coos County. So an example of some of what I talked about I was going to do that I've done. I was going to engage cities, and I've done that. Powers has joined the South Coast Development Council. They've developed an economic development forum that they want some of us to come to and help them out with it. We're doing that. Myrtle Point, we've connected with the Development Council as well. I've talked to them about what they need, logged those things down, worked with the county staff around some of those items. Other cities, Lakeside, obviously, North Bend, Coos Bay, I've got connections with. Bandon, I haven't talked with as much, but I've still gone in and met with their city manager, and I visited with their mayor briefly. So those were things that needed done. I saw they needed done. So are the folks coming in also going to be collaborative with cities? Are they going to be collaborative with any entity across the county? Those are going to be factors. Let's see. Yeah, those are some of the big ones I look at, though. But like I say, we're at the very start. And if you feel like you've already made up your mind day one, that's not a great thing. We need to keep an open mind. Even if we like somebody or we really don't like somebody, we need to see what the substance of their plans are and then make a decision from there. So, yep, we'll see who emerges. I wish them all luck. I don't take public positions in these things because I don't know which one of these folks I'll be working with, and I don't want there to have to be any bad blood from the jump. So I think that's where I'll wrap it up, and we will talk to everybody later.